Hey everybody, I'm Sierra,
And I'm Ben.
and welcome back to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where every week Ben and I recap one of your original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved Mysteries.
All right, love, how was your week? How was your weekend?
Uh,
How are all the things?
it's good. I can't complain.
Yeah? Any fun stories to share before we get rocking and rolling?
No. You?
I officially decided thrill stuff is not always for me.
Okay. It was not thrill stuff. It was a slide park that you.
And I did every single slide except for one.
No, you did not. You did multiple. Multiple. You didn't do.
Two. You're right. I guess two. I did not do two. And they were the ones that have the dramatic drops. And they make you go down head first, which feels aggressive.
There's a place called Slick City. It's just long slides you get on, and it's fun.
Yeah, I had a blast yesterday.
But there's one, and you go down.
You
pretty
go
good.
straight
It's not
down.
straight down, but it is pretty steep, and then it launches you, and you fall on this pad, this air.
I'm a 40-year-old, almost 41-year-old woman who had some pretty serious brain surgery a few years ago, and it definitely has I don't know. I feel like since that surgery I've been more fearful of like re-injuring myself.
Getting any type of injury.
Yeah.
Well, it was fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are here to tell you guys today about season 4, episode 8. And Ben has teased that even found an update that is not available because the ones that have been solved for a while now, at the end, if you're watching it on.
It sometimes gives you like a very
Mhm.
brief update.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Every once in a while, we find we always try to find stuff within the last year or two if there are things to report, even if it's that people are still working on it. Here's the tip number. Um, but you said you found something fairly decent sized
yeah.
that's not been updated
I'll do
on
the
the film
first.
rise.
Be the first story I share.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Well, on
start
that
with that
note,
one, and then I'll do the fraud one
okay.
later.
Well, I just want to remind everybody, our dear listeners, that we rely 100% on you guys to help keep this podcast going. And actually, several of the ways you can do it are absolutely free of charge. And that is to follow us on social media, Unsolved Couple Pod, recommend us to a friend or a coworker, or if you are in any social media groups that talk about true crime, feel free to add us as a recommendation, share any of our stories, our posts, comment, interact with us on social media. And then the number way you can actually tell that algorithm about us is to leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. And make sure to follow us on social because that's where I report a lot of our things. I've dropped information about our upcoming merch. Ben and I were just talking actually off air before we started recording about getting our video set up. All of that stuff, any and updated news on Unsolved Couple is shared to our social media first. All right, Ben, are you ready for us?
Yippers.
Okay.
Okay. This is gonna be the murder of Roger Dean. Okay. So, Colorado, um, Lone Tree, Colorado, November 21st, 1985. We get told Roberts, Texas. It's just your typical American neighborhood, except for a strange car parked outside Roger Dean's house. It was really weird how they introduced this story. But, anyways, 7 a.m., November 21st, someone's parked outside Roger Dean's car, then out house in a car. And then all of a sudden, Roger is saying to his wife, DJ, hey, can you come in here? She's in the bathroom, in the master bedroom. It's like, come in here. She walks in, boom, There's a man in a ski mask. He attacks her. He ties her up. He blindfolds her and leaves her on the bed.
Yeah, this story takes a very like dramatic turn very quickly right at the top.
Yeah.
Cuz I that is utter chaos that your husband's just asking you to come into the room and then next thing you know you're being blindfolded and like hogtied.
Not hogtied, but tied up
I
to
just
something.
I instantly go to hogtied. That's always my
Yeah. I only say that because she is able to go downstairs and outside later.
yes. Okay, so her legs are not bound.
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, so she's left on the bed in the bedroom. She's interviewed. She hears him take the intruder take Roger to a different room. They're yelling, they're talking, something's going on. Then he comes back in and is yelling at her, saying, "How much money do you have in your savings account?" And she's like, "I don't know. I don't know."
For the record, if anyone ever kidnapped me and wanted to know anything about our checking or savings account, I'm the wrong
Sarah
person to
couldn't even
kidnap.
tell you our bank account
I
number.
know nothing about it.
I
I'm not even always sure where.
you don't even know how much I get paid at
Nope,
my
I
job.
got no clue. Nothing. You guys, I have, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I'm useless in any of those
she
situations.
so DJ's she doesn't know. She's like, "I don't know, I don't know." So then he goes back out. She hears more arguing and she hears Roger say, "Well, I've got $30,000." And he's like, "All right, well, where is it?" He's like, "It's at the bank." "Okay, well, let's go get it." Then she hears a gunshot. So, and we hear that because it's after the fact. He shoots, hits the banister in the house. Supposedly, then Roger is running outside and then is shot 5 times point blank. And he falls and dies. I found two different, he's either in the yard or in the street.
Which is crazy to me because if you want money from someone, why are you killing them?
In the reenactment, would make it look like he was making a run for it,
Yeah.
right? So, but anyways, he's shot multiple times and killed. Uh, DJ is able to. She says like she doesn't remember a whole lot, but it's very traumatic. She finds her way outside. Someone stops and takes her blindfold off, unties her. She finds her husband out there. Obviously, they call the police. They come and there's an investigation. So Roger has passed away. So we get the investigators, they get interviewed. They say, listen, there was a lot of things that didn't add up. They're a little suspicious because it turns out that they only found twine on Roger's wrists. Also, he was wearing contact lenses. He had contact lenses in his eyes. But then when they went upstairs to the other bedroom where supposedly the intruder had taken Roger when he took him away from his wife, his glasses were there with like duct tape taped over his glasses. But like he supposedly had taken his glasses off to be unblindfolded. I don't know. Say it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Why would you have your glasses on if you had contacts in? Which is a
I mean, fair question.
yeah, I wear
Yeah.
contacts. When I have my contacts in, I do not have my glasses on.
Yeah.
So
The only thing I can think of is maybe he said something to them about, "Oh, I need them," like hoping to distract the person, like, "I need my glasses." I don't know.
yeah,
I'm just
I don't know. Uh, anyway, so also Roger was in his garage at 7 a.m. He like opened his garage door, and he was very well known to always have left his house for work by 6:15 a.m. So it was a little unusual behavior. They even suspected that that might have been the signal that the police pretty much say, we think he hired this guy to do this because, come to find out, Roger was stealing money from his company. He had taken money out of the company account and deposited up to $30,000 in a personal account that his wife didn't know about. So they think that this was his way of kind of
Getting out of
getting
this.
out of it or just being able to steal that he hired this guy to come in,
Mm-hmm.
make it look like he was done all against his will, get the $30,000. Then he could say this guy stole the 30,000 and
Got it.
then he would have it.
Yeah.
He would able to keep it.
Okay.
But obviously things went wrong. This is all theory.
Yes.
So, um, but DJ's interview, she's like, listen, she even admits, goes, listen, we've been having our problems the last few years, especially because terribly they're like in their 50s or 60s. They're a little older. I would say 50s. Their son just 2 years prior had died in a car accident. So like that she said ever since then there's been struggles. She doesn't go into detail, not my business. So anyways, police continue to investigate. They can't find whoever did this. Okay. 5 years later, DJ comes home. They also have a daughter. She comes home and has a letter, and it's claiming to be the killer. And he knows details about their life, names their daughter, and says, I know where she works. I know what she drives, all this stuff. And if you do not pay me, and admits, I'm the person that killed your husband. And if you don't pay me $100,000, I'm going to kill your daughter.
This is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I'll do it when she least expects it. I know
And
all
I
these
can
things.
know
I
I
know
can
where you
say that
live.
because I know all of these intimate details about
Yeah.
your life. Yeah.
And so,
And I've obviously already shown you that I'm capable of murdering someone before I mean, at the
well,
end of the day, he didn't get any money out of that either. Like, so yeah,
it's
it's
wild.
terrifying.
So he says, I will call at this time on this day. This is in July 21st of
Oh,
1990 is when she gets the letter.
we were not old enough to get married back then.
No, we weren't.
No, it would have to be several years later.
Just a couple.
Couple few.
Excuse me. Sorry. So she goes to the police and the FBI. The FBI put constant surveillance on their house and set up a wiretap thing. He calls on the date and time and gives her some instructions.
He is nothing but if punctual.
So they they are able to trace it to a payphone in
Mhm.
Denver, but by the time they get there, obviously he's
He
not going to be
gone.
there.
Yeah.
So, um, so she goes through with whatever he instructs her.
Yeah, this is what's crazy,
He
you
tells her to
guys.
go to a place. This is literally from a movie.
Yeah, I when I was watching this, I was like, this could be, yeah, a movie written in. She follows all of his exact like layout. He's gonna
Yeah.
take her through this whole jump through all of these hoops
Yeah.
to drop off this money that he's now demanding.
So he tells her to go to this place and wait by these payphones, and then he'll call her for further instructions. At least that's what it appears, right? So she drives there. She's got an FBI agent like laying down in the back. There's supposedly a bunch of FBI and painting trucks or working trucks, and they got SWAT on standby. So she goes, waits. Finally gets a call at the payphone. Is given instructions of to take all of these roads and then drop off the money behind in an alleyway, like behind some apartments. So she goes and does it and drops off the money.
Drops a bag of 100 grand.
Yeah.
Adjusted for inflation, we're looking at close to $300,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
And
is in 1990. So yeah.
yeah,
Anyway, so she does all of that. Before she even gets home, he calls. The daughter answers
yeah.
and says she didn't do what I told her to do. All this thing is threatening. He goes, I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to kill you when you least expect it.
And they are probably like so confused
The
and terrified. Like,
Yeah. So
I just left a ton of money somewhere. You're telling me you didn't get it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the FBI keeps eyes on the money until dawn, like until the next morning. No one comes to pick it up. So of course they grab it, wait, but he never calls again and doesn't send another letter. So that's the end of that. Literally from a
Do you
movie.
think he gave her directions and then forgot what he told her?
Um,
Or that he didn't have any intention on picking up the money? I'm
no,
just confused why make her go through all of this and then be ticked off immediately that the money's not there, but it actually was. So either there was a miscommunication
I think
somewhere.
she messed it up.
Okay, you think it was so
Because you got to
complicated.
think. So first off, the instructions were only given to her on a payphone.
Okay.
So it's not like the FBI was able to hear all the instructions.
Yeah.
So, and this isn't me saying anything negative.
No,
I
but you're
would
in a
be,
high stress
I'm in a,
situation
you
too.
got someone in a very high stress situation who's very nervous and very scared.
And is reliving the fact
And
that
if
her
he gave her,
ex-husband or her, her widowed husband has already
yeah,
been murdered by these
and
people. Yeah.
she's already lost her son. All
Yeah.
she has left is her daughter,
And now
and
her life is in
you're
danger.
threatening her life.
Yeah.
It said he gave her specific instructions of what streets to drive. If she missed a street or drove down a street and just ended up in the wrong alleyway,
Can you imagine me trying to get these directions?
that's what I'm saying. If it had been given to you and you got back to the car, the FBI would say, "What did he say?" And you would be like, "I don't know."
I've been able to give you
A
I remember a
general.
few general things of what he said, but yeah.
So unless she was there writing it all down, which maybe she was, here's the thing, I'm throwing a guess out.
Yeah, but
I
I can't
have no
imagine
idea.
that this is a level-headed conversation where you're like, "Okay, I'm just gonna read these back to you. Can
Yeah,
you can make
exactly.
like I."
It's not like you get to a lot of you can ask questions
Yeah,
and
exactly.
verify. Or he was just a coward and she did it all, but he was too afraid to pick it up because he was afraid. And so then he just did all that.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So,
I mean, really, like that's the only.
that's the thing. So that's where Unsolved Mystery leaves us, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so that's literally where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us. It's like, we don't know who did this, but they give us a description. Okay. Like, hey, we think it's like a male, white male, and is this or that, whatever. Like
yeah.
they think
Okay.
from that. All right.
So what are the
So
updates?
this is your update of
Okay.
2025 solved.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, this one is wild. So it was actually a man. I'm trying to pull up the article, but
I
where
told you we're gonna make a shirt for Ben. That's
Michael Jefferson.
I'm looking for my notes. If I gotta pull up my notes, I gotta pull up the website. Yeah,
Yeah,
Michael Jefferson. Okay.
he was arrested. He lived in Colorado at the time. He was arrested and he was linked from the DNA in the ski mask he left behind at the murder. So, genealogy did it in 2021 is when they were able to
Pull the
link,
name.
get his information from.
Okay.
He worked for Roger at the time. No, he didn't. He was dating a girl that worked for Roger
So
at the
very
time.
loosely connected to
Very
this.
loosely
Okay.
connected. They think that they thought he might have been wealthy, so he wanted to rob him. So, but he was just sentenced in January of 2025 to 35 years.
For the
Um,
murder?
Not even murder. So he had to give a plea deal. This is why I was trying to pull up the article because you might know about it, but there was a massive scandal in Colorado that came out that one of the lab ladies had been manipulating DNA evidence for thousands of cases. So it was causing a massive problem. And she was the lady that matched the DNA. So then they took it and sent it to a secondary lab. They were able to match it. It was a match. But because this lady had kind of tainted the state of
Yeah.
Colorado's
She
testing, they offered him a plea deal. And it was like conspiracy to commit murder. So, um,
which is crazy because if you commit murder in the act of committing another crime, it's like the most extreme like level of murder sentencing that you can get. So the fact that he got offered such a crazy plea deal is insane to me. And he's also, but did any charges about the extortion a few years later?
No, they think it was him, but they don't really have
It
any. It
clearly
clearly
had
was
to
him.
have been him. They had intimate knowledge about a bunch of things.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he was sentenced 32 years on January 16th, 2025 because to conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. But he's eligible for parole after 8 years. And he's technically been arrested since 2021. So some of that time's already been served. Um, so yeah, it was a CBI scientist, Yvonne Woods, had manipulated the DNA evidence for years. So I don't know
Shoot.
much
I wonder
about
how
that
long that repercussion of that's going to go on for.
for a long time,
Yeah.
but
I hate this.
thankfully he was found. Sad, unfortunately, more sad news. DJ, the wife,
Yeah.
committed suicide 8 months before this guy was
Oh,
arrested.
this poor woman. What
So
about the
the
daughter?
daughter was there. She was happy that this had all,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness. This poor
this poor
family.
family.
And then this poor, like the only person left. Oh, I mean,
Yeah,
and then to have to sit there and know that it,
she was 84 at the time.
she took her own life at 84.
I didn't read how because I don't want to know.
No, I know, but this poor woman, this poor family. Oh, I mean, and I don't even feel like justice was served. Like he didn't even get convicted of what he actually did.
It is. I read like the prosecutor was very upset because
Yeah.
he's like this was not they originally charged him with first degree murder, so that but because of this, they were afraid they had every intention of going to trial,
Yeah.
but once this broke, and I think it was after he was arrested, I think it broke in 2023.
Mhm.
Um, it really put a damper on any case that they wanted to bring forward that her name was connected to. So they were afraid if they went to trial, obviously the defense is going to hammer that this
Yeah.
lady had any part in the
No,
case.
yeah, the credibility is now shot. Now the thing that's frustrating is that they still obviously had a sample and were able to do it again, which to me is far different than like right now in Boston. The Karen Reed trial is done and everything right, but all of the people involved, uh, Michael Proctor, all of he was the lead detective on the case. All of like the bro code that he had been doing, his entire cloud history got downloaded during this, and then the FBI came knocking and wanted that. And now Michael Proctor, because he was the detective or a lead detective on the case, any case he's now attached to has to be gone back and reviewed, right? Because it was found that now he hasn't been found guilty of anything, but it as to have appeared in court that he ignored evidence, possibly planted evidence, erased footage, like different, he manipulated things, right? And it's hard to say because he hasn't, quote, been found guilty, but he's been let go of the station. And now that they have the physical evidence or the digital trail that he did do things like that, they now have to go back and like everything he's ever been a part of, which could potentially, like, yeah, it got an innocent woman from, it saved her from being convicted of a crime she didn't commit, but now it's possible that people that did commit crimes, even though they're guilty, if he wasn't doing things by the book, which now we know he wasn't, it's going to have these horrible consequences.
Yeah. So I mean, the DA had come out like, listen, this was the plea deal we offered. And he took it.
Yeah, no kidding. I'd take it too.
Still 32 years, but
I hope the parole board like sees through the smoke screen that they can.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, he was caught And
And at least this daughter has some answers. And I'm sad. I wonder what if there's a statute of limitations on if they can decide at any point to try to build a case against him for attempted extortion.
I mean, the man is he's 64 years old. That's what I said, Michael Jefferson.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's but at the end, I mean, 30 something years later, 40 years
He's
later, they're still
and how does this person not done other things? This man stormed into a house, blindfolded a woman.
I think had a criminal record, but clearly not.
He wasn't currently incarcerated when they
He was
found
I
him.
don't know.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously, he wasn't incarcerated for another murder.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. So, anyways,
Ugh. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you guys a story about Deborah Poe, and she is a missing person. 4:30 a.m. on February 4th, 1990, sheriff's deputies responded to a call at a convenience store. Two customers had found the all-night like gas station market open but unattended. No one was working the counters or minding the stores. One of the customers was a friend of Deborah's, and despite immediately searching for any signs of her behind the counters, um, like the only thing that they found was a neatly folded work smock. Say that 3 times fast. Neatly folded work smock, a cup of coffee, a carton of chocolate milk, and house plans on a floor behind the counter. The cash register was locked and there was no evidence of a robbery. So it's just a missing girl. According to Detective Riggs Gay of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, the store appeared abandoned. There was absolutely no sign of a struggle, uh, with the exception of a young clerk missing. And the young girl missing was 26-year-old Deborah Poe, who grew up in Northern Virginia and had dreams of becoming, it looks like a professional ballet dancer of some sort. She wanted to continue her dance career. I found some pictures of her on point and all kinds of stuff. And in October of 1989, she moved to Orlando, Florida with her friend and roommate, a woman named Lori. Deborah worked during the day as a clerk at the at a retail sales at a department store, and at night she worked the counter at a local Circle K.
it's a lot of working.
I mean, this woman, I will say, from all accounts that I read, she was highly dedicated to the fact that she had goals. She wanted to buy a home, which is why they found like floor plans or like brochures. Um, she was looking to purchase a home, and I think she was trying to save up enough money for a down payment and wanted to find a career in dancing. And if you're in Orlando, Florida, there's a lot of opportunities to do stuff like that. And it wasn't like she was just sitting around doing nothing. She was working days and night shifts.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I admire it.
Yeah. So, and actually, this gas station is still there today. It's not a Circle K anymore, but it's on the road of Almana Avenue in Orlando and Hall Road. So, we know historically the most dangerous time periods for convenience store employees is the graveyard shift. And you guys, Deborah was beautiful. She was a young, pretty girl working the graveyard shift. I'm actually surprised that someone put her in this position to work this. Because, yeah, to work by herself at least, but different time, maybe. 5 nights a week from 11 p.m. until 7 a.m., she worked behind the counter alone. From time to time, a few of her friends and loved ones had begged her to quit because they didn't feel comfortable with her working those hours. And her boyfriend, Scott, was so concerned that he actually began staying with her during the night shifts to help keep her safe. I didn't find this in a lot of places, but there was a couple reports that he lived walking distance from this convenience store. Um, because when I was watching it the first time, he's I believe he's one of the people that calls when he comes in at 4:30 in the morning and she's not there.
Well, yeah, they say a friend had been coming in and had left and then came back a little later
Yeah, and
and noticed.
he's interviewed in Unsolved Mysteries named Scott. Turns out that was her boyfriend. And I believed he lived walking distance. So I don't know if he was setting an alarm every couple hours and getting up, but he seemed that this was kind of part of his routine that he was coming by every couple hours and checking in on her. So her roommate says that despite the risk, Deborah needed to work because and she'd also purchased a brand new car. I mean, of course, right? You're only young once. Deborah also wanted to save up money to buy a house and potentially start a cleaning business. Lori said that if it meant that Deborah had to work two full-time jobs that she didn't care for, that she was going to do it anyways. So she's driven for sure. Just after 11 p.m. on the night that Deborah disappeared, a friend of hers dropped by to discuss some house plans with her. Scott had also visited her and left around 1 in the morning. Police verified that she waited on customers from the time Scott and the other gentleman left until about 3:05 a.m. Another friend drove by the store at 3 a.m. and saw her standing behind the counter. Everything seemed fine, but when the first friend returned just several minutes later at 3:50, she was nowhere to be found. Tracker dogs traced Deborah's scent to the rear of the store through a wood slat fence into the parking lot nearby an apartment complex. Suggested that she'd left in that area or was forced into a vehicle through that route. An extensive search of the area turned up no trace of her. Investigators do not believe that she left voluntarily, and they had concluded that she was probably abducted. And they soon discovered, sadly, she was not the first store clerk in the Florida area to disappear while working the graveyard shift.
Dangerous job, man.
Yeah, it still is to this day.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. Ugh, no.
No, and as someone who has stopped in at a gas station in the middle of the night needing snacks or Diet Coke or whatever, I'm very grateful that those people are there. But I always think this would be terrifying. You are at the mercy of whoever walks through those doors. 6 months earlier, on August 6, 1989, 22-year-old Donna disappeared from a convenience store in Gulf Breeze. Same case, no signs of a struggle, nothing at the scene. Donna was sadly 3 months pregnant and left behind a 2-year-old daughter. 5 weeks later, on the 18th of September, another 26-year-old woman, Darlene, was abducted from a Lake City convenience store. 2 days later, her body was found nearby a creek. She had been bludgeoned to death. 3 victims, all single females in their 20s or early 30s, and they had vanished while working the graveyard shift alone. Investigators at the time had to wonder, was there a link, even though they had no subject? Then, 3 days after Donna's disappearance, they were contacted by a young woman who had read about the case in a local paper, and she came forward realizing that she may have stood face to face with the man who abducted Deborah. The woman said she stopped by the convenience store around 3:30 that night to pick up a pack of cigarettes. She said there was only one person in the store, and it was a man who was behind the counter, and she assumed was the clerk. Looking back on it, she does remember that he didn't know where the cigarettes were, which is not uncommon if someone is new. She said she had to point out which ones she wanted, and he handed her the cigarettes and said, "You really shouldn't smoke, and then used the cash register and made change for her. So he helped her check out and reminding her that smoking is dangerous.
Smoke, smoking's
Smoking will kill you.
smoking's bad.
Yeah. Detective Gay said that the investigators have been unable to locate anyone who was in the store that night or who even remembered seeing the man other than this woman who'd come forward. He theorizes that the man may have been a customer who walked around looking for the clerk, and the man might have taken the opportunity to shoplift, but then was caught by a woman, or he could be responsible for Deborah's abduction. Regardless, police would like to identify him. Detective Gay said there's a good possibility that they are dealing with a potential abductor or serial abductor slash killer. Deborah is officially listed as missing. Lori says if they find Deborah and she is deceased, they can at least put her to rest and give her a decent funeral and go after the man who may have killed her. And that's kind of where Unsolved Mysteries, they're looking for two people. They're looking for a man that may have been at that location, and then they're looking for whatever happened to Deborah.
Deborah.
Yeah.
All right. Give us an update.
Okay. Unsolved on one end. So, one of the cases, Donna's case, was solved. So, Deborah is the main woman featured in Unsolved Mysteries, right?
Yep.
One of the women, Donna, her case was solved in 1996. By a man named William Alex Wells confessed to killing her and actually led her police to her body in a remote area near Defunca Springs, Florida. Wells then implicated his half brother Mark in the murder. Both were convicted and are serving life sentences. They are considered potential suspects in Deborah's case as well. Deborah and Donna both disappeared under similar circumstances. Well and his stepbrother were together the weekend of Deborah's disappearance and had close relatives in the area that they may have been visiting.
Mm.
The female eyewitness picked Wells out of a photo lineup and identified him as the man she had seen at the store that night. However, um, Wells denies being involved in the case and said that he was under house arrest at the time. Neither him nor the other man have been charged in any connection with the case. And then in February of 1998, Deborah was declared legally dead. And in March of 2002, police announced that they did have a suspect in her case, although they did not name anyone at the time. It was reported that it likely may have been the friend or the boyfriend that had stopped in that night. Around the time investigators searched the area of a land near Chapel Hill Baptist Church in Orange County, it was 5 miles from the store, and I believe it was right behind one of the houses of either her friend or her boyfriend at the time who had come by. Um,
So they think the friend or the boyfriend?
I, from There's several reports. There's a lot of information about like this investigation because it is ongoing. There's not a lot of information. This is internet sleuths trying to figure out because they never named a person. The rumor has is before they wouldn't name that person, that these two men they could not be eliminated as suspects. And fair, boyfriends are always going to be the first. And the person that is one of the people that claimed to be the last to see her. These guys have never been able to be eliminated. But then when they searched that area, I believe her boyfriend lived in it was just a few miles or walking distance or something from the Circle K or something, and the churchyard that they searched was directly behind his property. So her boyfriend was connected to potentially, does that make sense? Like that's how the
Very
line
close
got
to a
drawn.
search area,
Yeah.
which makes them think that they were looking at him.
Yeah.
Okay. But technically, no one has ever been.
No, the police said that the re-examination of the case led them to the suspect in that area. Cadaver dogs were brought in and detected the scent of human remains. However, nothing has or was found at the time. Interestingly, yeah, one of the boyfriends used to live across the street from the church and at one point had even actually worked as the pastor there. So, you know, if you have any information on the disappearance, or anything about this case at all, you are encouraged to please contact Orange County, Florida's Sheriff's Department office at 407 836 3700. You can always submit anonymous tips through Crime Stoppers as well. Um, so, yeah, This one is still sadly unsolved. I mean, not even her remains have been found at this point.
Sad.
So, and it seems like we've seen this before, these older cases, the ones that tend to get solved are the ones that are either highlighted in maybe like some big true crime documentary or podcast, or the families have the wherewithal, the means, the ability to continue to put their names out there. Sadly, it appears that most of the people within her family and friendship circle have passed on. And so there's not a lot of people continuing to look. So it's one of the reasons I enjoy doing the podcast. We talk a lot about some of these lesser known ones and just reminding people that there are still people out there looking for justice. And I hope at some point I can bring you guys a better update on Deborah's case. So, all right, Ben, back to you.
Thanks, Sierra. I felt like this was like a news. Thanks, Sierra.
Yeah, we can read it.
Back to the
And
studio.
Ben, now over to you for our third report.
Okay. All right, I got a quick one for you. This is a fraud case. All right. So, December 21st, 1990, we got some Vegas and we got some high rolling people ready to spend some money. A lady by the
That's
name
what you
of,
do in Vegas.
yeah,
Yeah.
Lisa Montgomery. She is on a shopping spree. First target.
Shopping spree is a little bit of an understatement. I've done a quote unquote shopping spree. This woman was a shopping menace.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, um, she responded to a private ad, I'm going to guess from the newspaper, man by the name of Mark. He's selling a mink coat and a 2 carat diamond ring. Okay. It seems like a lot to be
Seems like a lot
selling.
to put out there on,
That this is what you have in your house.
yeah, on the newspaper. Hey, I've got a 2 carat diamond and a mink coat for sale. And I will be honest, I did not know the extensive cost of which mink coats were. I went on a little bit of a rabbit hole after watching this episode, but yeah.
So she shows up, hands him a cashier's check. Okay. Well, he's not happy about that because he said he wanted cash.
Okay, for people to clarify, there's cash, there's cashier's checks, there's money orders, and there is checks, right? That's kind of your main form of currency. Do you know the difference between a money order and a cashier's check?
A money order is actual like money.
That's what I mean. So a money order is as good as
The money has
cash.
already come out of the account,
Hmm.
and this is the only way to get that money,
Is to, yeah.
to have it. If you
Hmm.
lose a money order, you lose the money.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can go back into the bank and said, "I lost my money order. Can I get another
No, they're
one?"
not going to give you one.
No. But a cashier's check, I think it's just
Isn't it just the same as a check?
from the bank. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
We're past the check phase of life, you know? So, anyways, he's not happy about it. So he asked to see her ID. She's like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. But for some reason, I guess he's like, okay, I guess that's good enough. So he gives her the mink coat and the diamond ring, and she walks out the door. He said he was a little suspicious because she just like throws the mink coat in the back of her convertible and hops in. I was like, okay, I'm off. So then she goes to a jewelry store and buys $39,000 worth of rings, 2 rings, I guess. I guess she'd been in there before talking. Guess what she hands him? A check, cashier's check.
Okay, so I just looked this up.
Okay.
Technically, cashier's checks are supposed to be super secure because a personal check is guaranteed funds out of your own personal checking account. A cashier's check is a check that is supposed to be issued to you from the bank, and it is the bank paying the thing. So it's you're coming out of the bank's account, not your personal account. The bank guarantees payment, making it supposedly a very secure form of payment. The bank has to issue it and sign it, and it says it's safe for high valued transaction.
Yeah. In
So these
20.
were obviously forgeries.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So, anyways, then she goes to a furniture store and buys $23,000 in furniture. And she, like, they tell the story, she's got this beat up moving van, old red moving van, and she's trying to shove it all in this van, and it is almost not fitting. And the store owner's like, "Hey, man, um, we can deliver this. We got a delivery truck." And she's very belligerent with him. Like, "No, absolutely not. I can
She
do
is
it."
like Cruella de Vil right now with her
Yes.
jackets on, screaming at
She just
everybody.
says, like, "Make it fit.
Mhm.
Get it in there. Make it fit." So, um, we come to find out, like, in total over this weekend before Christmas, she's gone to multiple stores and spent almost $100,000 of cashier's checks, right? The guy that bought the mink coat or that she bought the mink coat from, he was suspicious. He had written down her address. He goes to go to the address that was supposedly on her ID. Guess what? It doesn't exist. So he contacts the police, but the police at the time are like, "Yeah, okay. Well, until the bank tells us that that check is no good, we don't have anything."
There's
So
no crime that's been committed yet.
not yet,
Yeah.
right?
This
The
man could go to the bank on Monday and they could be like, "Okay, great. Here's your money," and everything is fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just because you don't have the
Just because you
address.
have a gut feeling that something's weird doesn't mean anything's happened yet. And yeah, that's they can't. What are they going to arrest her for?
But they interview the police officers like, yeah, okay.
We're
That
paying attention, but
we're
we can't do anything. Yeah.
so then that must have happened before. It must have been the next day. The furniture store guy, he after this whole thing of them trying to shove it in and she's being rude and not taking it, and he just sold her $23,000 worth of furniture and it's all been given to him by a check. He gets a little suspicious.
Yeah, he went home that night and probably had a moment to
No, he didn't
decompress.
go home that night.
No, oh, that's right. She left. He had a
This
moment to decompress and was like, "This is not adding up." Because I'm guessing he's done obviously business with other people. He's probably like, one, she's not acting the way most normal people
Yeah,
do.
especially people that spend this type of money. Usually
Exactly.
people that
We're supposed
spend
to spend
that
this
type
kind
of
of money. I'm not, if I'm spending that money, I'm not loading it in
you're
my,
bringing
you're
it to
bringing it
me.
home to me. The
I
only
just
time
spent
I
all
load furniture in my car is when I get it at Costco because I bought it at Costco prices. Even when we bought our discount mattresses, I was like, you guys deliver this, right? Like you are taking care of it. Yeah.
so he hands a walkie-talkie to his wife. He has the other walkie-talkie and he starts following her. Follows her and she meets up with a gentleman who's driving the red convertible where she got the mink coat from. So they switch vehicles. She gets in the car and the gentleman gets in this truck and they go in separate ways. So he follows her. While this is happening, his wife is on the phone with the police. Just so happens it's the guy that took the call from the guy from the mink coat. And he's pretty much says, okay, something's going on. We're heading out. So they're trying to get directions from the wife, who's getting directions from the walkie talkie from the husband. And he's following her, gets to the point where the lady realizes she's being followed, stops in the intersection, and gets out and
This could be a comedy play right here. Like this
absolutely.
whole like Abbott and Costello like
Yeah,
circle
the
that is
police are
happening
trying to
right
find
now.
out what's going on. This is this
This is
problem
all
all would have
before
been.
cell phones and
I was gonna say this
everything.
problem would have been solved by cell phones, but cell phones are not a thing,
And
or at
it's
least a
funny because
massive
back
thing.
in the, I swear now, if you called the police department, like, I'm following this person, they'd be like, ma'am, I'm going to need
Don't
you
do
to
that.
not do that. But the police are like, yeah, we're rolling with this.
All right,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's find out who this lady is. So she gets out, starts yelling at him. He gets worried and he drives off. She follows him and they go on. Now she's pursuing
Yes. The
him.
lady with that is,
The lady that
she is
stole
Cruella de Vil, a mink coat, diamond rings for days, is now
in a
in a
convertible
convertible following the man who
who was,
followed her, who has a walkie talkie back to his wife.
it's
Chaos has broken
it's
out.
a movie.
Yeah.
And anyways, he finally stops. She speeds past him and leaves. Police are not able to catch up. and find her. Guess what? All those checks, they were frauds. So she got away with like $100,000 worth of stuff. So,
The most random things. Furniture, diamonds, and mink coats.
yeah. So the police
I
did
can only
find,
imagine what this furniture looked like. It was probably so over the top gaudy
yeah,
and
100%.
just it was awful. It
100%.
was awful furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did find the van and the car, but it had been rented using cash and a fake ID. So they're really not able to really run her down. So that's kind of where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us. Um, they show us her picture and hey, can you help us find this? Find her. Ready for your update.
Give it to
S-
me.
solved. She was she was eventually caught. Her real name is Ellen Christine Juviera Ciaz. She was arrested in Hollywood, California, and she pled guilty to burglary, theft, did her time in Nevada, and was released. I did find out that in 2009, later 2000s, she was arrested again and did time in Colorado, was released in 2016. I couldn't find out what for, but I found her mugshot. But it found her mugshot and when she was released, but I couldn't find. I'm gonna guess it was.
I'm gonna guess it had something to do with fraud of some sort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I
Maybe
guess.
she should
So
hook up with Dr. Fraud from last week's episode.
yeah,
And because he's got a whole rehabilitation program.
yeah,
Yeah.
she needs to be rehabilitated.
Yeah.
So even up to literally less than 10 years ago, she's still out there trying to fraud people and steal stuff.
Yeah. So I was really interested in mostly the mink coats because right before the holidays, I found a fake cowhide jacket. It's fuzzy. The amount of people that have asked me if it was a real jacket is amazing to me because cows are not. I don't think they're made. They
Cows
that's
don't have fluffy fur.
they don't. Cows would be leather products, like that's what their hide is made for. This is just cow print. And this jacket's over the top. It's big, it's fluffy, it goes floor length. I actually had like got it one size bigger because I wanted it to be crazy. And the best part is I wanted it because Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City has one scene that I remember, and she probably wore it more than once, where she runs out of her house. It's snowing, it's New York City around Christmas time, and she has this beautiful, like, silk pajamas on, but she's clearly wearing pajamas. And the only thing she can grab real quick is this, like, over the top, beautiful fur coat. And she, like, runs down the city. And I think fur coats for a long time were like every woman had at least one fur coat of some sort. And then we got to the stage of life where people were throwing paint on them. And so people stopped
Even
doing that. Yeah. And so I think they're kind of starting to make a comeback, but everyone that I can find is all fake stuff, like the fake fox jacket that the woman wore in the NFL.
Aaron Andrews wore the massive jacket
Oh, I was obsessed
two
with that
weeks
jacket
ago.
2 weeks ago,
It
which would
was
now
a
be like 4 weeks ago and by the time this comes out.
by the time this come out, yeah. But she wore it.
And every woman that was stuck watching football with her husband instantly started paying attention because and that jacket,
The
I
jacket
found
is
it. It's
massive.
massive. I think it was just over $900 for it, but it was a fake fox jacket. So then I went down the rabbit hole. There is still a few places, at least online. I could not find any like s- locally that you could go buy real fur jackets from. But they start at like $2,800 and go up to like tens of thousands for a real fur jacket today. Um, and there's not a lot of options and not a lot of variety because again, I don't think that the demand is super high, but I could be wrong. But you want to feel like a total baddie, buy yourself a full length fur jacket. Fur or not, or
Fake
fake or
fur.
not, I don't care. You do you. You got 10 grand to buy a full length fur jacket, you do it upright. But every time I wear that thing out, she is the
The
main
star.
imagery.
She's
She's the star. Every time
that
you've been
jacket.
strangers coming up to us,
Oh,
men
yeah.
and women of all the
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
It's a showstopper.
it's the funnest thing to wear. All right. So, but yeah, I that story in itself took me down a rabbit hole of if anyone's got a fur jacket in their closet that they don't want, let me know. I'll pay to ship it to me because I'm kind of into vintage fur jackets now. I'm gonna start keeping an eye out for them. Okay, so on the morning of December 7th, 1941, the United States awoke to an attack it never saw coming.
Can we just
Nope.
say that everyone is shocked right now that Sierra is talking about history?
It'll make sense in a second. Japanese forces launched a surprise aerial assault on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, targeting battleships, airfield, military infrastructure. And in less than 2 hours, more than 2,400 Americans were killed and over 1,000 wounded. Nearly 20 naval vessels were damaged or destroyed, including 8 battleships, and hundreds of aircrafts were lost. December 7th quickly became known as a date that would live in infamy. That was a direct quote from the president at the time. The United States also formally entered World War II from this act. Is this all accurate so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Pearl Harbor remains one of the moments in history that is defined by shock, loss, unanswered questions, not just about how it happened, but why warning signs were missed and how intelligence failed, and how ordinary lives were suddenly pulled into extraordinary events, and went down as a hinge point in world history. So, Sharon Johnson believes that she is the reincarnated person of a soldier who was killed at Pearl Harbor 11 years before she was born in 1979. Okay. So, Ben has been very quiet over there. What are you fact checking something for me?
No?
No. Okay.
Go ahead.
So, well, I just dropped a bombshell that Sharon believes that she's the reincarnated soldier.
She's not.
So just want to make sure.
100%
Just want
she's
to
not.
make sure you were here with us because that
I mean, here's the
usually
thing.
would
I
have.
don't think anyone is surprised by my
Okay,
skepticism.
so Pearl Harbor happened 11 years before she was born.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So, and in 19, we're going to fast forward though to 1979.
Okay.
She meets hypnotist Frank Brenwatsky, and she started seeing him for hypnosis because she wanted to lose weight. I was not alive in 1979, clearly, but I do remember a small time period where, I don't know, we saw a myriad of miracle diets, and we probably still do. I just don't listen to that as much anymore, the noise about that. But I do remember like hypnotic tapes for sale, or, you could listen to this thing that was supposed to help you lose weight
Yeah, I think the hypnosis thing,
for
it
weight
lived
loss.
on for a while. Into the 90s, I think.
I'm going to tell you guys right now, please do not waste your money. Hypnotic weight loss thing. There's a lot of things on Ben's sliding scale of what to do before we jump to that conclusion. We'll get there. But
I just, I'm s-
I struggle greatly with the diet and wellness industry in general for trying to take advantage of people. And that's not what this story is about.
no, it's
Um,
not. We're getting off
we're
track.
getting off track, but we have a woman who in 1979 goes to see a man who claims to be a hypnotist. His name's Frank, and he's specifically selling hypno treatments to her for weight loss.
I just think it's funny. Like back then, like we discovered hypnotism.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when it was discovered, or at least when it was really making its way into the general public. Because now we hypnotize people for alien abductions, murders to
Mm-hmm.
help. And here's the thing, to help with trying to recount stuff. It was almost like we discovered this and we're like, how many industries can we touch with this?
Yeah.
And then we got smoking, weight loss, all
Yeah, it
kinds
entered
of
into the wellness
it were
community for sure.
it its tentacles were everywhere.
Yeah.
We really did think at one point that this was the answer.
Yeah.
And I'm just a little concerned as a society that
Well, we
we
clearly
think
pulled back because I don't think
absolutely.
now, like
It's not a thing. It's not a
I don't see
I'm sure it's out
hypnotherapy
there.
being used greatly. I do know that there is some forms of like deep, I don't want to say hypnotherapy, but like deep relaxation therapy treatments that you like sensory deprivation treatments where you eliminate light and like float like so that your body's able to really
Like the Aaron Rodgers thing.
I don't know that thing.
Yeah, anyways, doesn't matter. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole either.
Okay. So but she goes on to lose 30 pounds. And in the same time as she's doing these treatments and losing this weight, she has a realization that she is having an odd reoccurring dream of smoke. And she is claiming that she remembers that the same reoccurring dream has been happening since she was a child. 6 months later, Sharon visits the island of Oahu, Hawaii for the very first time with Frank, the man who has been her hypnotherapist and a few friends. I,
This should be some red flags, people.
I don't care what kind of relationship you have with any sort of therapist, right? You don't vacation with people like this, right?
I, yeah.
Yeah. Um, According to her, certain sites on the island of Oahu seemed familiar, or though she had been there before, even though she had never been to the island before. Immediately after visiting the USS Arizona Monument in Pearl Harbor, she goes back to her hotel room and requests to be immediately put under hypnosis. She goes under and claims that she is a man named John Gillespie. She said that she had lived on a farm in Omaha, Nebraska, was born in 1921 to John Gillespie Sr., and that she was stationed at the USS Navy. She is him, was stationed at the USS Navy. She went on to describe the attack on Pearl Harbor and named people that were there at the time of the attack. Um, None of the people of whom she knew personally in real life or had ever heard of before in her awakened state. The man was badly injured in her dream. A few minutes later, the story came to an abrupt end, and she realized that John Gillespie had been killed, and she was eager to do more past life regression exercises to learn more about the man, John Gillespie, who she believes that she is the reincarnated person of.
Okay.
So immediately, here's this is what's hard for me. I'm not a skeptic, like as much of a skeptic as Ben is. You guys, anyone that's been listening to this now knows the depths of my belief on the mysterious and the unexplained. I believe in being able to be hypnotized, suggestive, all of this stuff. And I even believe that there's a potential where energy, I don't know what I'm trying to explain. Energy changes into other forms of energy. So if people feel connected to other parts of history or the world or whatever, maybe there's a thing there that can be explained. I don't know. But what I am saying is, I found it odd that she goes to a museum and then immediately believes that she is connected to it through a past life. Like, that's what my that seemed a little too on the nose for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should all
Yeah, I mean, to
Here's the
me,
thing.
like, let's ask a few more questions. Let's get some follow up here. If you,
I'm just so confused because, don't get me wrong, like, when you go to these memorials,
it's very emotional.
it is emotional.
Yeah.
I've not been to the Pearl Harbor one, but I've been to the 9/11 one, and it is gut wrenching.
Yeah.
So I'm just a little concerned that you go and then all of a sudden you're like, I was there.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of what I said to Ben. We now live in a world where you and I were alive during the 9/11 attacks. You and I were both, what, juniors in high school? Juniors or seniors?
Juniors.
Juniors. Okay. So we do know people that were born in the decade shortly after it, where they have probably grown up their entire lives hearing about 9/11. And we have, kids that were born, what, 20 something years after, and they've even are still hearing about it from time to time, probably not as often as you would have in the previous 20 years. But so this woman grew up in a world where Pearl Harbor was very well known, very talked about. There would have been people alive who were either directly involved or remember that day specifically where they were when they heard the news or woke up and then saw the outcomes of everything. And then to go to the museum and be like, I was there. It just I've got a few more questions that I'd like to follow up with.
I just, yeah.
Yeah. So Frank records several hypnotic sessions in order to find out more information about this man, John Gillespie. In one session, Sharon gave John's serial number and names of his friends. Um, Frank then goes on to contact a congressman to see if he can get some more information about it. So Robert is skeptical at first, but then decides to check the archives and have the list of the man aboard the USS Nevada. He was surprised to learn that 8 of the 9 men that Sharon had named were listed. Um, but Sharon found, like, again, I think a lot of these names are listed in a lot of the memorial sites around Pearl
Well, we'll get
Harbor.
into it. I did a
Okay.
little bit of research.
Okay. Sharon and Frank located a man named Joseph who confirmed several facts of Sharon's stories, including that he was on board that day and actually had to have his leg amputated. John Gillespie at the time did not appear on any of the ship's rosters. However, fires may have destroyed rosters with John's name on it. A fire had happened at the naval warehouse where most of the recordings of the Navy seamen during World War II were likely destroyed and possible evidence of John's existence. Despite the fact of that evidence of John's existence seemed to be hard to prove, Frank did the unbelievable and actually found a census record that stated John Gillespie was a real man. So some believe that Sharon's story is true. Others believe that Sharon's information came from a third party source like books and museums. And the big question of hypnotic suggestion.
Okay. But this doctor hypnotized her like 30, 40 times
It's a lot of hypnotizing.
to get all this information.
Mm-hmm.
She then gives a list of 9 or 10 individuals who served on, what is the Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
The USS Arizona?
Yep.
And they give it to this guy. He's like, yeah, these sailors all did die
Mm-hmm.
on the USS Arizona. So, man, how did she know that? How did she get this list of names? And how did she come up with this man's name, John Gillespie?
Mm-hmm.
She must be the reincarnate. So she is claiming to be the reincarnated
She claims to be the reincarnated spirit of John Gillespie.
Gillespie.
Gillespie. Or maybe reincarnation's not. It's past lives, reincarnation. Yeah, I don't know. I will be honest, I don't know the technical terms if there's a difference between the two or if they're tied to different forms of spiritualism.
All right.
So, okay. She also revealed that John, while in Hawaii, had a girlfriend named Suga. made a composite sketch of her and stated that John met Sugar at Pearl Harbor and they had a fight on December 6th, the day before the attacks, in hopes to locate Sugar so that they confirm this story's truthfulness. With help of the military records, Frank was also able to confirm that there was John Gillespie in the Navy and that he did die during the attack on Pearl Harbor. However, John's family has never been able to locate the rest of the claims by Sharon and Frank. So that is kind of where Unsolved Mystery leaves us. I will say that Madame Sharon um, is a fake name, and she, while interviewed at Unsolved Mysteries, was in shadow,
Did not
but
want to be
Frank
revealed.
was not.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
All right.
I
Give
have
us
some
some
updates for you.
give us some updates of this reincarnated individual.
So, a few other random facts they went on to confirm were true. However, none of those things were outside of public record. Things have been printed in books, things that were available at museums. So, Sharon, from my everything I can find, Sharon never went on to try to write a book or do like she stopped after this unsolved mystery thing. That this whole concept of Sharon being the reincarnated of John kind of went away.
She didn't profit off of
She didn't
this
profit off of this,
that we know.
comma. However,
Mr. Frank.
Mr. Frank went on to have an extremely lucrative career within the world of hypnotic, hypnotherapy, hypno spiritualism. He claimed at one point to be a past life expert. He also claimed to be able to read people's aura based on the color that surrounded them. Um,
So you found
oh,
I
I dug deep in on this man.
because I dug for him too, briefly. I tried
Hmm.
to do a little bit of research,
And
but then I got distracted with my research.
I can
There's
even tell
another
you that there is inconsistencies within these things because I think he was so full of lies and deception that he gave interviews saying at one point that he was like a professor doctorate at University of Arizona. But the University of Arizona, I looked through several other accounts, has zero records of that man ever working for them. But I think this was a time where you could just kind of say stuff and people couldn't fact check it. He has since passed away. He is no longer alive. So I guess I can't come after his
his
like
name is
slander.
Frank Baranowski.
Frank Baranowski
Because when I searched for him, there's another Frank Baranowski who
from
like
Germany or
yeah
something like that, right? Yeah.
yeah, and he's like I don't know what he was, but
I
it
think he
was
worked in the
not
world of like music or composement or something. It
yeah.
was, but not this. Frank Baranowski, this man had like a syndicated radio program. He br- uh, he talks. So he shares a story that he grew up going to a Catholic school, and that as a kid he would tell the nuns what the colors around their heads meant. And because of that, he got called into the head priest office. And this is me just using terms that I think are correct because I didn't go to Catholic school and I'm not Catholic, so I don't know exactly how the leadership works. And they asked him about his ability to see light around people. And then by the time he got home, an exorcism was performed on him. And this is all according to him. And so he was too scared to share his gifts with the world, and that his town rebelled against him by like no one was allowed to play with him. He wasn't allowed, people wouldn't allow him to walk on the same side of the streets that he were. If anything happened in his town where animals died or famine or crops failed, it was blamed on him. And so he shelved his abilities for a long time until like traveling to India. He met with a lot of people in the spiritualism world over there and studied under them. Yeah, Cherie something.
Well, I was actually I looked at
Long story
they
short,
showed a picture of him, and I thought they were showing
nope, that's not him. The man with the afro is like the guru that he studied under. Yeah. I mean, I could do an entire like one off on this man in the multiple like inconsistencies in all of his stories. None of his stuff I was able to verify. But he went on to profit greatly off of claiming to be an expert in this world.
Oh, sorry, I was muted
I
while I
think he
said
just
some of
has
that
oh,
stuff.
really? Oh, sorry, Ben's unmuted. So
I was
you found the
the guy that he was supposedly studied under, the
the
Shira.
guru or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
I
and I'm not
gotcha.
sure because in the world of in India there is a lot of shamans and different things for several like for healing and faith and yoga. I mean everything that you can go over there and study under these people. 98% of them are for health and wellness, probably a very good side effects for you and are not harmful at all. I couldn't find a lot of stuff that Frank did that would have been quote unquote harmful, but what he tended to do was he just made a lot of money off of claiming to help people find their past lives. He said he could read their auras. He was very into the supernatural while also claiming to like have connection to all these past lives. And of course, I would love to actually meet someone who has a connection to a past life where they weren't anything. Every person on this show or like that he talked about were people that were connected through past lives of like they're always connected to Cleopatra, they're connected to like big name people. I'd love to meet someone who's like,
Well, that lady in what Ohio was just some random.
"Oh
She
yeah, I
said her
guess
life
there's
was
just some random lady on a boat," which maybe makes her a little
on
bit
a
more
riverboat.
credible on a
No,
riverboat.
absolutely not.
So, yeah, I mean, you and I have talked about if anyone has wants to know our thoughts on reincarnation and past lives, Ben and I go into it on past
Well,
episodes, so we don't need to necessarily hash that out.
yeah, but let's just
But
make
this
this very
Frank
clear.
guy, to me, this appears to me that he found a vulnerable woman who was struggling with her self esteem, decided to come see him. He did help her to lose some weight. And I am sure that because of that, obviously some connection formed. They traveled to Hawaii together, which is a pretty romantic gesture. That's me making an assumption. And
Yeah,
I
I think
think
a lot of people would make that
that
assumption.
he tried to profit off of this by manipulating her into I think he in without having a better term for it, I think he implanted things into her brain.
Well, I
Power of
like
suggestion while under these states.
it's very possible. I like I said, one of the issues I had was that he didn't say she went through 20, 30, a ton of hypnotic sessions just for this reincarnation thing.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about someone who wants to keep putting someone under hypnosis
And I
over
don't know
and
a lot about
over
hypnosis,
and
but I know
over
that you are in
again.
a far more vulnerable state of mind.
If you are a hypnotist and you're able to put someone into the state of mind where then they don't know or they're then at the will of your
It's a lot of power and
y-
influence you have. And if
yes.
you wield it incorrectly, you are the problem. I think he was trying to get turn this into a profit situation where profit as in financial, either a book deal, a movie, interviews. Sorry if anyone can hear this with our new fancy microphones. Our dog
It's
is knocking at
barking.
the door because anyone came within 5 feet of our house. Yeah. So because nothing ever happened post this, I have a feeling either someone in Sharon's life or Sharon herself were like, "Hey, I don't want to be involved in this anymore," or maybe saw the manipulation start to happening, and he dropped her like a hot potato. He doesn't really talk about in all of his credits about himself and all of his websites and interviews. He talks greatly how he was a specialist on unsolved mysteries or he did all this stuff, but he doesn't talk about how he was actually involved in unsolved mysteries. That it wasn't really about
Doesn't tell the
him.
story.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just make it very clear. The story is about a lady who says she was reincarnated from a man that,
Her past life, she was one of the men on
and here's
Pearl
the
Harbor
thing,
when it was attacked.
the only evidence that they brought forth was a list of names that
Mhm.
she produced in a hypnotic session
Mhm.
of people that died on Pearl Harbor. And that list only came forward after they visited the memorial. And I did a
Yes.
little research. Guess what's at the memorial on Pearl Harbor?
A list of the men and
A
women who
list of
died that
people that
day.
died
Yeah.
that day.
Mhm.
And amazingly, you look at a list of a bunch of people that died and you're able to give out 8 names.
Yeah.
That's your evidence?
Yeah. But like I said,
Eh.
my theory is that this was meant to be a long game of how can I make as much money off of this as possible.
Listen, I agreed with you. I think Sharon was a pawn,
I think
and I
so
feel
too, and I
bad
feel
for
bad
her.
for her. And I can see why to this day she has decided to remain anonymous.
Yeah, and here's the thing, I'm like,
I could not find anyone claiming to be her.
and I feel bad, and I'm glad that you're not out there because you probably later in life realized you were taken advantage of.
Mhm.
Thankfully, your name's not out there, and you can continue to move on.
Yep. So, because I'll tell you this, I went on our social media after watching this and going down separate rabbit holes, um, and asked if people had any thoughts or personal experiences with what they believed was a past life of some sort. I did have several people send me private DMs, and you know what every single one of them said to me?
What?
That this was a private experience or a connection that they found through a time of healing or self exploration, and that these beliefs that they had lived a life before, learned from it, and are here again on life 2, 3, 4, or whatever, or reincarnated into something else, are private experiences that they are happy to share in a personal conversation, but have no desire to be exploited or to talk about outside of a trusting situation. And that's the same thing I have said I feel about psychics with detective or with or people with any sort of potential gift in the world of the unknown is that a lot of the times the people we see exploiting it for financial gain or for fame and glory tend to be frauds. And the people that maybe have had these experiences tend to hold them very close to their chest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's it. I would love to know what your guys' thoughts are. Like I said, we don't need to rehash what me and Ben's thoughts are. We actually have completely different views on this. And I never want to take away anyone's spiritualism. I don't think we do ever. And if that is, if reincarnation is something I think to a lot of people is a very beautiful theory that we continue to live on some plane of existence after we leave here. And I'm not going to take that away from anyone. Um, but yeah, I think that this woman was likely a pawn in this man's. And here's the thing, he dropped her like it's hot, apparently, and went on to have a very financially successful career throughout his entire life, continuing down the same sort of thing.
Shocking.
Yeah. And I think maybe he just had astigmatism because I can see lights and stuff around people all the time. But that's because anything that has a reflective surface on it puts off a glow. And I definitely am not claiming that it makes me
See the
connect.
aura.
I see people's auras. All right, guys. Well, that is our case, our episode of, let's see, season 4, episode 8 of Unsolved Mysteries. And now it's time for me and Ben's chitty chat, though I'll be honest, I forgot to look up a question. Um,
So
I
slacking,
know I
man.
slacked today. I think I
Just
had one
work
the other
hard.
day that I said, don't don't let me forget to ask this on the podcast. And then
What do you bring to this podcast?
what do I bring to the
What do
table?
you
If you
do?
don't want to hang out, feel free to exit stage right. You guys are free to go. Class dismissed. Anyone else
Class
wants to
dis
stick around can listen to me and Ben banter about
class dismissed. So you're the teacher.
I I can be. It's gonna be Miss Turner to you.
Miss Turner.
Miss Jenna. I don't know. I asked you something the other night while we were sitting on the couch, and now I cannot remember what it was. And I thought that that would be a good question. Um, and now I've lost it. Are you gonna watch the Elizabeth Smart documentary?
No,
Why not?
I'm just not interested.
Yeah, but do you remember
I
so
have
I guess this
no
will be
I
our
don't
question.
even
Elizabeth Smart was the girl from Salt Lake that was kidnapped from her house as a child and then found later in Salt Lake City. She'd been taken by a man who had been doing work on their house, Jebediah or something. The father had hired a man who was like living on the streets, a vagrant, I guess, who was looking for money. And the man, instead of giving him money, said, I've got some work at the house that needs to be done. This you were alive when this happened. We were in, it was on the news. She was missing for several weeks. And she was not
weeks or
much.
years.
I don't think it was years. I can't remember off the top of my head how long she was missing for. But she had been kidnapped and taken up to like in Salt Lake, all of that scrub oak, nasty brush and stuff. They lived up against one of the mountains, and he had taken her up the mountain and like had like a tent house up there with his married, not in real life, but his like wife who was married, and they were practicing like their own form of religion up there, like with these headscarves and face covers, and he believed that Elizabeth was his bride. I think she might have been like 9 or 10 years old, maybe younger. None of this is ringing a bell
Not really.
at all.
I
And when she
thought
was first caught, she claimed to not be Elizabeth Smart, and that was like a big question as to
I
like,
thought if I'm remembering the right thing,
mhm,
I didn't read much about it, but I thought it had been years.
that she had been missing.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but we.
Mm,
Sorry, I just took a drink of my Diet Coke. I think it comes out in the next day or two, so I'm excited because this was one of the crimes that I remember watching. Um, And she has gone on to do so many incredible things since being rescued to be a champion and a voice for um, kidnapped children, how police handle situations, like hugely involved in all kinds of things.
9 months.
What-
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if she's ever done a huge major tell all. There is like a lot of information about the things that happened to her during that time. But I think this is going to be one of the more deeper in depths. And I could be wrong. So again, I'm speaking on this before I've seen it, but it seems from what I've watched or the things I've seen, she's heavily involved in the making of this, excuse me, documentary.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad she's at least a part of it so she doesn't feel like someone else is telling her
Yeah.
story.
Is there a crime growing up that you remember really like being front and center, at least in your world for a while, even if maybe you weren't super into it, you remember it being like constantly something that you either saw or heard about?
No.
No.
I mean, obviously, I think it says I remember the John Benet Ramsey.
Mhm.
It made headlines. It was on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So it was on the news on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
But
Do you remember
I
the
didn't
OJ
follow it.
Simpson?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do remember that. I mean, we were young.
We were
We were
young.
in elementary school.
Elementary school, yeah.
I remember his verdict because I was um I was out on recess and we had two ladies that oversaw the recess, and she had a Walkman that had a radio and she was
Oh.
listening and all of us kids were standing around and she said the verdict, what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know why I even cared because at that time I didn't know anything really about it. We just knew that it was OJ Simpson.
Mhm.
I remember his chase. I was at my friend's house and
Oh,
we
the
were
white
hanging
Bronco.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it came on national television and we all saw it. I
Yeah.
watched it for a few minutes and then we went back to doing whatever we were doing.
Yeah.
That's it. Here's the thing. True crime has never captivated me. I might be interested for a little
Yeah,
while,
because like
but
even
I'm
the Lacey
easy.
Peterson thing, I think we talked about that once, and you were like, "I have no idea."
Yeah, maybe a story will captivate me for a little
Mhm.
bit, but I will lose my interest real quick.
Yeah.
Again, I told you the Idaho murder is one that I did read a lot about. I was very curious, especially when he hadn't been caught.
Have
And
you
then when he got
are you
caught,
aware of the current that's what I'm looking for. There's a revisionist history sort of thing
oh,
happening.
everyone,
There every is, and
all
it's infuriating because since there was no trial, there's now like,
conspiracies.
yes, that he wasn't it, that it was actually the all of the kids that were like
I'm
the
not.
other victims. And it is infuriating to watch and hear about because
No, I'm not. No,
yeah.
no. And the problem with that is this: as more time passes,
Mhm.
that will get that they'll come up with more and more radical things because then once you claim something happened, but that was 10 years ago,
Yeah.
it's much harder to prove that it didn't or it did, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to think of an example, but if you say, well, there was someone there and they saw that night. Well, now that person's gone,
Yeah.
but that story will live or
Mhm.
whatever it is. If you said that 2 months after he was caught,
Yeah.
it's really easy to be like, well, who is it? Oh, no, no, absolutely not. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, that probably is a terrible example. But
What about Kaylee Anthony? You remember that one? The little girl in Florida?
yeah, I remember it, but I didn't follow it.
You didn't follow it. Yeah.
I remember,
And the big scandal there, she was found not guilty.
yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. Listen, I read headlines. I just don't. I don't dive in. Like I said, the Idaho one is probably the one I read the most about,
Mhm.
just because I was super curious about the manhunt
Yeah.
and because I could tell the way the police were talking.
Something wasn't.
But the things they were saying, but then what the public knew, I was like, "They know more than we know."
Yeah, and I remember you saying that cuz you heard about it before I did.
Yeah, I woke up, it was
You brought it up to me later either that day or the next day or whatever and had heard about it, and I thought to myself, these girls weren't assaulted, multiple murders, like 4 people, like either how did one person, like that's a lot. Like take the emotions out of it, which is easier said than done. The actual physical act of what he did that night, for it to be one person, already the probability of that was like quite low. And for him then to either not continue to escalate when they kept saying that everyone was safe, they didn't believe that
it was a
anyone.
targeted
That
attack.
I was like, that doesn't add up from what we quote unquote know about people that do this sort of thing. But now, having read through the affidavits and all of
So
that
that's
stuff,
why
then
when they
yeah,
caught him, I was very curious. So I read the entire affidavit of the arrest and read their at least what they put out there, what they did for the investigation
yeah,
and how they followed him, how they tracked him, all this stuff. Because I was curious, because like I could kind of tell, like you guys clearly know a ton more than what you're telling the public, and what you're telling the public and what the public knows does not,
they don't
they
add
don't
up.
add up. But I do believe, and there was a part of me that was concerned. I'm like, I
If I
know,
was a parent with a child in that area,
yeah, I'd be
I would
worried,
have removed my child
yeah.
because I'm like, I
So once then I read, oh, this is what you guys had in that.
yeah,
I was like, okay, I got it. And then I was done with it. I was
yeah,
like, all right. And then all I cared about was the verdict.
yeah,
That's it. I
yeah.
wasn't going to read anymore. I wasn't going to dive into it anymore.
Okay. Well, I'll ask you about one more that I think you probably would have remembered that was more high school time for us, which was the anthrax. Do you remember the anthrax letters that were being sent out? It was post 9/11.
No.
You don't. You don't remember
I
that
remember
claim.
anthrax was like a threat and they were talking about it.
What about the DC sniper?
I knew about it, but I didn't read a lot about it. I was fascinated by the DC sniper because it is such a different
Mhm.
way that someone terrorized this country.
It was terrifying because he was targeting children.
Yeah. The DC sniper is a very fascinating one. If there was ever one I was going to kind of
hyper follow at least, or
or just do a little bit deeper dive into about.
the deep dive into it is fascinating about who he was as a man, his ideology, his because there was two people involved. You got a young kid and
Yeah,
like
you got a kid involved in it. So it is fascinating, but at the end of the day, like it's so sad. I'm kind of like sometimes there's a part of you when there's such terrible things you're kind of like I don't want to,
I think I've
I
gotten
just don't
more
want to
like that
dive into.
as older in my life, and this probably says more about me than we have time to go into ever. But I think whatever was happening in my life in my formative years, watching true crime and like following these things and kind of hyper focusing on it was actually probably in a weird way. I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I remember these things and that was back then where you didn't have internet on your phone immediately. So you had to go in and look for that stuff and watch the news and different things like that. And I remember making it a priority for a lot of these things to be present for and to have knowledge on and to keep an eye on it.
That was the DC sniper one. Like you didn't have a smartphone, so
No,
if you
uh-uh.
wanted to know about it, you had to sit and watch the news,
Yeah.
or you had to read the paper, or in that. And at that time, I was a teenager. Like that's just wasn't my priority,
Yeah.
and I wasn't. This is not any disrespect to any people
No,
that
here's the
go
we all
through
have
any of
different
those
things
things.
because you maybe were like that with other things, whether it was music or different pop culture or whatever, where you would have invested your time and energy into
Yeah,
knowing more about those
but
things.
that's not me saying I don't care about anyone
Oh,
involved
no,
in any
I
of
don't
that.
think that that's the case at either. It just wasn't something that you put a lot of energy into keeping front of mind as a teenager, which is not I think I'm the oddball in this situation that
But like, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things that, yeah, it's just like, no,
I don't
man, I don't want to. And sometimes I don't want to learn deep dive into it because,
makes you sad.
yeah,
And I think it is fascinating how culture and crime are so tightly intertwined, right? And that is something I have found fascinating for a long time, clearly, where these historic events are something that I can remember what I was doing culturally or age wise when these things were kind of going on in my world. And you very much, maybe it's not crime, but I can turn on a song or music or talk about a band, and you're gonna remember how that was intertwined within your culture.
yeah,
Yeah. And so I do find crime and cultures intersections fascinating. So, all right, well, not so much a question as a thoughtful, provoking conversation about some of the
discussion.
biggest events in our or the early 2000s crime. All right, guys. Well, that is everything. We are looking forward to talk to you guys again next week, where Ben and I will be back here to recap another episode of
Unsolved Mysteries.
Bye.